Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Change in the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules. A new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Change in the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to ditch the rich.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining me this Friday morning. I hope everyone had an awesome week. Definitely. Good morning there, Trish. Good morning, musical lady. I hope y'all have had an awesome one. And, well, we've got a lot to talk about on the crypto side. Needless to say, the World Liberty Financial Forum. I don't know if we didn't have tons of crazy announcements during it, but we got tons of news from it. And it seemed to kick off a little bit of a White House push on the crypto side. So we've got a lot to talk about. My tabs are an absolute nightmare of articles for today of just what has gone on in the past 48 hours. And I had to thin out a whole buttload. And so there's so much going on right now. Everything came in just one avalanche of information on the crypto side and about all kinds of other stuff. So we've got lots to chat about. We got stuff about the Trump family to chat about, things that they're doing. It looks like you're going to be able to start buying certain Trump hotels are going to have some tokenized aspects to them. All kinds of stuff. Clarity Act seems to be very much back on track, but with some odd debates going on. As a matter of fact, Brad Garlinghouse from XRP came out and said he believes it's a 90% chance of passing by April, I believe, was the date he set. So we've got tons to talk about. So I'm going to go through the good mornings today fairly quickly. I know there's Mr. C, and we talked pretty long today, and they've got Matt and Lucas over there chatting. And so I know some folks will be joining a little late, but we're going to have to just jump into it so that we don't have a crazy long one trying to get through all the articles today. So good morning, Reno. Good morning, Tout Va Bien. Good morning. And yes, musical lady, nice traction going on the Clarity Act. Absolutely. Overall, markets have not responded in any kind of huge way to what's been going on the past 2 days, but it makes sense. All that we've really gotten is a bunch of information. We haven't really gotten any like hard news, hard things occurring besides from some very unexpected places. Today's stream is just going to go all over the place as a heads up. I'm looking at all my tabs over here. We are everywhere. We're going to be all over the place when it comes down to it. So we might as well start jumping into it quickly. Good morning, beautiful soul. Good morning, Deborah. I hope y'all are having a wonderful one. All right, though. Yeah, we might as well because we've got so many different places to go when it comes to the news today. We just need to jump on into it. So, first things first, as normal, let's check where the market's at. And everything's pretty much sitting exactly where it was sitting on Wednesday. Bitcoin sitting at 67,396. XRP sitting at $1.43. Matter of fact, I think that's exactly where it was sitting on Wednesday when we had our stream, or somewhere very, very close to it. Yeah. Looks like, yeah, pretty much exactly where it was sitting at, but tons has been announced in that time. And so let's just go ahead and start jumping into all of it. The World Liberty Financial Forum was on Wednesday at the Mar-a-Lago Resort. We had Nicki Minaj attended, CEO of Goldman Sachs, CEOs of Franklin Templeton, pretty much every major financial group around the country had a representative there. CZ, and that is the original founder of Binance, who was pardoned by Trump during his second term. So this would be his first visit, CZ's first visit to the United States since that pardon. He attended the event. It was a who's who of trillions and trillions of dollars of managed capital sitting in the same room. And it really did end up going everywhere. We had the very last speaker was Nicki Minaj. Not really quite certain why that occurred, but I suppose Nicki Minaj's budding and growing friendship with the Trump family meant she wanted to support the event. Not really certain why else, but crypto, real estate, and politics collided at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club as insiders debated tokenization and regulation. Panels touched on digital assets, future of tokenized real estate. Many speakers, including the Trump family, focused on grievances with banks and broader critiques of the existing financial system. I thought that was pretty funny when you consider that you had the CEOs of pretty much every major bank also sitting inside of that event. And so you pretty much got 75% of the speakers are just up there bad-mouthing the banking industry. And the other 25% of the speakers are the leaders of the banking industry. And so that had to have been a little awkward at times. High-profile guests included the Binance founder, CZ, Changpeng Zhao. I'm not certain. I've never heard anyone call him by his full name. He has just always been known online as CZ. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon, FIFA president Gianni Infantino, rapper Nicki Minaj all attended. We had speeches done by both of the Trump children. We did not hear anything at the event directly from Trump, but we did hear from the kids. And we heard about all kinds of things that were being discussed during it. A lot of the conversation based around the stable coins and the Clarity Act, that being so relevant right now in the space makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, as the video title alluded to today, we also heard that World Liberty Financial is going to be essentially tokenizing a new Trump resort. But let me say a few more. We had some folks come rolling in. Good morning, Kukla. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, Franco. Good morning, everybody. And yes, of course, an important one, guys. As I'm jumping into all of this, please do remember that the content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes, not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making investment decisions. Yep. POTUS loves FIFA, says Deborah. And he absolutely does. And the head of FIFA seems to love the Trump family. And so we had all kinds, but one of the big ones, World Liberty Financial launches Trump Maldives real world asset tokenization project. World Liberty Financial is expanding its RWA strategy with a blockchain-based investment linked to Trump International Hotel and Resort in the Maldives. The product converts loan revenue interests tied to the luxury resort into digital tokens designed for accredited and eligible investors. Developed in partnership with Securitized and Dar Global PLC, the offering allows investors to access fixed income streams from resort financing without owning the property. RWA token structure and resort income investment is built around loan revenue generated by the Maldives resort. And so essentially, what you're buying is a tokenized, you are essentially funding the growth, the building of these resorts. You are receiving a digital token that is essentially a representation of that. And then you are receiving a return based off of the resort paying you back, essentially. These tokens provide fixed returns tied to resort-related loan income rather than ownership of the property. This one is interesting. It's just another different way that you'll start to see real-world asset tokenization entering into the mainstream. In this one, it appears accredited and eligible investors only are going to be able to participate. That sounds very reminiscent of Lord Liberty Financial's pre-sale, and only accredited investors or people outside of the United States being able to invest. But hey, here is one example of a form in which folks are going to start tokenizing projects, tokenizing real world projects and things inside of the world. And in this situation, I think this one's going to be very interesting because you're probably going to have a lot of folks that are very interested in owning a portion or in some way being a part of Trump's hotel chains. And so where this goes, who knows? But this was an announcement that was made at the forum. And well, we just had so many more, guys. So I will apologize at this point. I'm certain I'm going to kind of jump all over the place today because we just had so many things happen. The other major event, and one that I'm a lot more excited about than everything that occurred at World Liberty Financial, actually occurred yesterday. And I think these things occurred at the same time for a reason. And it is the White House has stepped in to the Clarity Act stablecoin conversation and is now holding talks actually at the White House. And they have set a deadline. And so this is probably the most exciting news of the day. White House sets March 1 deadline for stablecoin rewards decision. The White House has signaled possible progress in the ongoing fight over stablecoin rewards during its latest closed-door meeting with banking and crypto leaders. Session held on Thursday marked the third round of talks tied to the Clarity Act, a major bill aimed at setting clear rules for the U.S. crypto market. And we're actually finally starting to get some information. We've actually even heard what types of compromises the White House is trying to convince the banking lobby and the crypto lobby to agree on. And well, some of it's not great. According to people familiar with the discussions, the White House negotiators indicated that some form of stablecoin rewards will remain in the next draft of the bill. Note the very concerning part of this sentence. Some form of stablecoin rewards will remain in the next draft of the bill. This marks a shift from earlier uncertainty and increases pressure on banks to accept a middle ground. Banking groups previously pushed for a full ban on stablecoin rewards. We've talked about this. It is the major road. It is the major stoppage, the major block for the Clarity Act being able to pass. The banking lobby started pushing this back at the very beginning of the year, back in January. And essentially, they have railroaded the entire conversation on the Clarity Act because of this idea of stable coin rewards. The idea of anybody, any centralized exchange, any bank, anything being able to offer rewards in stable coins or for using stable coins, for holding stable coins, for providing stable coins as liquidity, etc. And in doing so, essentially took away one of the largest wins of stablecoins for the consumer and also for the blockchain companies. These stablecoins allow for you to start collecting the very interest that the banks used to collect by holding your money. You're able to be the one who is collecting that interest. That's one of the things that makes it so appealing, is becoming your own bank. And taking away this ability essentially railroaded the conversation on stablecoins and on the Clarity Act as a whole. What banks are threatening is that if stablecoins are able to provide interest, provide a return, if companies can offer different programs, you can stake into this in order to earn 5% return in stablecoins, or you can just keep your stablecoins and provide liquidity in a market and be rewarded for it, that essentially so much money would be removed from community banks and from the banking system in the United States that it could potentially collapse US banking. That's what the US banks are arguing. And they may or may not be right to a certain degree. Ultimately, banks losing this massive pot of liquidity over to stablecoins, that interest starting to go to the actual holders, to the consumers, that very may well bankrupt many banks around the United States, because essentially, well, they've been making all of their money through quantitative easing and through earning interest off of your funds that sit inside of their bank, not their own funds. And so that has drawn everyone into this debate in a fairly toxic way. We've got legislators that are on the bank side saying, hey, we're going to destroy the US economy, potentially the global economy, by allowing for stablecoin rewards. And then you've got, of course, the cryptocurrency side of the lobby arguing that, well, if you don't allow for rewards on stablecoins, you're going to destroy the cryptocurrency market in the United States. And Trump's goal to become a leader in the world of digital assets and tokenization is going to be a complete failure if we're not able to pass this law and if we're not able to provide rewards in stablecoins. And that has really led to just an absolute impasse. And it has made it very difficult for legislators to vehemently pick a team, because ultimately legislators are concerned about the repercussions of both. The repercussions of the banks failing, that's not great for re-election, but also the repercussion of setting us massively behind on the world stage in regards to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Well, that's not going to be great for elections in the future either. And that really has drawn everything to just a standstill. It appears at this point in time that the White House compromise that is currently occurring in regards to this is going to potentially limit the ways that stablecoins can provide you with a return. And that's what's very, very scary about this compromise. It's reassuring that we see the White House jumping behind this. I had very much been expecting Trump and the Trump administration to start really, really pushing on the crypto side. As we've talked about, Trump does not like markets being down while he is in office. He's got to do something about it. And so we did get that announcement yesterday. We did get that deadline set, but that March 1st deadline could end up resulting in a compromise in regards to what is able to provide yield returns. And so that in and of itself could be a very, very, very sticky situation. Are they going to limit essentially the amount that you can earn in interest on stablecoins? Are they going to limit which different means of earning a return? So am I going to be able to earn a return from Coinbase for keeping stablecoins on the exchange, but am I then not going to be able to earn a return if, say, I'm using them for some kind of rewards program? If I buy $100 of product at some store using a stable coin, am I then not allowed to receive 10% back in stable coin or something? It's ultimately, we don't know yet what that compromise exactly entails. It sounds like the next version of the bill that we're going to see is going to include whatever this compromise is on stable coins. And so hopefully we're going to find out soon. But ultimately, we're all probably going to learn together. But we know that we have at least a Trump red line has been put into the sand on the 1st of March. What are y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? I know we've seen a lot. It's been very, very positive in comparison to what we were looking at just a few weeks ago. And you can see that also on Polymarket when you look at the percentage chances and just how much it has risen on the Clarity Act. Yeah, we are up to 70%. We were not near as high just a few days ago. I believe when we looked at it last, I think it might have been last Friday. And so just last Friday, the 13th, we were looking at, around a 60 to 58% likelihood of passing. We're now looking at a 70% likelihood of the Clarity Act being signed into law in 2026. And so the prediction markets are responding to the news of the past 2 days. It appears as though the folks who are willing to gamble some dollars on it believe that the likelihood of the Clarity Act passing has drastically risen during these discussions. Musical Lady loved the White House putting a hard deadline pressure, getting down to serious talks to close the remaining gaps. Absolutely, absolutely. I just hope that they don't go. I hope that in the desire to get the Clarity Act passed, that we don't end up over compromising, essentially, and then we're going to end up having laws that have to be passed in the future in order to correct the laws of today. Ultimately, I think folks are in a position now, and the crypto space is in a position, and the administration's in a position where they just want this act to pass no matter what, because the act passing will rebound the market. If this act passed, even with a limitation on stable coins, as long as it's not a full ban, even just a limitation on it, this still is providing the framework in the Clarity Act for all of these other tokenized digital financial instruments. Essentially, it's still providing all of this framework, all of this regulation for the rest of the industry. And so I am afraid that there may be a shortness of patience on this one, and that we may end up compromising out some of the really big wins that the crypto industry was looking at in this bill for the sake of just getting it done. And that is concerning, because the Clarity Act passing will rebound the crypto market. The details and the framework of the Clarity Act are what are going to keep the crypto market succeeding and moving forward and growing. And so it's kind of a catch-22 on that one. But I can see where, from the administration standpoint, they're just desperate to get this done, get this market fixed before the midterms, and then they'll circle back to these problems after type deal. I see that. The banking lobbies and the folks who are heavily invested in the banking sector, I can see their fear when it comes down to it. I think that ultimately they had made a deal with the devil a long time ago, and so I don't really care about their fears over it when it comes to the large financial institutions and the fact that they may fail on account of the loss of liquidity from stablecoin rewards and people moving their capital to crypto. I think that's a good thing, but I can understand that I am in a different position than other folks when it comes down to that. I don't have a massive retirement plan that's tied to stocks and investments in these different banking institutions, or 401ks controlled by some of these different financial institutions and run by them. I can absolutely understand why there are people fighting tooth and nail against the Clarity Act. I understand it. I disagree, but I get it. And that's what makes this whole situation so difficult, because we really do have there's a lot on the line. Will they even comply? Hey, very true. Unfortunately, both sides have to make concessions and a compromise to get to the finish line. Crypto community realizes that. I think so, musical lady. In many ways, most crypto supporters have been pretty understanding of the fact that we're not going to get the absolutely everything we want. Now, I would say Coinbase, the company, actually pulled support for the bill, and so Coinbase no longer supports the Clarity Act. Ultimately, Coinbase believes that, or was informed, or is under the belief that these stablecoin restrictions have a high likelihood of passing, and so Coinbase yanked support for the Clarity Act over this. And so there are big players in the crypto space that are essentially saying, "Hey, we either get to have our cake and eat it too, or we're taking our ball and we're going home. Nobody gets to play." But it seems like they are unique in that one. Brad Garlinghouse, XRP, seems to be very committed to staying a part of the conversation. And they've not pulled their support. All right. Franco, the banks are moving into the crypto space and not the other way around. Banks need to offer the same stablecoin yield as the industry. Absolutely, Frank. And that easily could be what the banks are up to right now. This could be very much nothing more than a delay game, because these banks, they want to just be collecting those interests. They want to be the ones controlling that capital, and they really can't stop that capital in the long term from moving out. But what they can do is they can delay it. And the longer they delay it, the more of a head start they give themselves in the industry. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that, Frank, where the banks have got to be aware. And well, we know from some of them, we know that many of them are aware, but some of them just don't come out and say it. But we have to imagine, from what we're seeing from some of the banks that have already released unannounced blockchain services and things like that, we have to imagine that the rest of them have been busy behind the scenes. I think that they just got told, hey, I think a lot of bank CEOs and shareholders got told, hey, we need to slow this down for about a year to catch up. It's a high possibility. Musical lady, I think they're stalling for us to buy more popcorn to get us through this crazy clown show. Yeah, it is. It is a free market clown show. With the markets down, I'm always buying more. Frank, hey, dollar cost average. Andy talks about it all the time in regards to precious metals. You can go back to the stock greats, and they'll have the exact same thing and the exact same recommendation: dollar cost averaging. Don't look at the price; just keep buying a little bit more over time, and that chart will start to go in your favor. Reno Hightower, so the rich get richer. Absolutely, it's a K-shaped economy. K-shaped economy. Musical lady, we have to take the wins no matter how small they may appear. I will take this small win for Clarity Act and White House pressing on this issue more. Absolutely. The White House pressing on the issue is a necessity at this point in time. So that was a huge win, just to hear that the administration is taking the Clarity Act very, very seriously, and that they want this thing done. And by targeting March 1st, it seems as if the administration is under essentially the same timeline that we believe they should be, first quarter. And so that also is very reinforcing in terms of the overall beliefs from a lot in the crypto space that, hey, we need this done in quarter one. If we don't have this done in quarter one, we need this done very early in quarter two. We need to start preparing for the midterms. Crypto PACs are undoubtedly going to be one of the largest contributors to midterm elections. And so this is going to have huge effects on this election cycle. If crypto is spurned in this election cycle, you are going to see hundreds of millions of dollars yanked from the Republican Party and Republican candidates, and you're going to see far, far more judicious application of these funds. And so there's more to this. It's not just the markets. It's not just getting it done before all we're talking about is the midterms. This also comes down to a matter of the funding for the midterms. Remember, the number one contributor to the 2024 election cycle, number one industry, or at least one of the number one industries that we know of, was crypto. Some of the largest super PACs around are now forming around different crypto ideologies. That is going to have an effect on the midterms as well. And the Clarity Act being passed, well, not only is it going to improve the markets, these crypto companies are going to be putting a lot of money behind the candidates that support cryptocurrency, primarily the Republican Party, and complements of the market massively increasing in value. These same crypto companies are going to have a lot more dollars to throw at that election cycle. And so there's more to it. And that is, it's a little, it's very reassuring in my mind that the administration is looking at it in the same way. They've obviously got the same timeline that we threw out in the prediction video at the beginning of this year. The administration they're trying to make certain that Zester's prediction video comes true. And I appreciate that support from the Trump administration. They must have heard that I had said it was going to happen in Q1 and that I had made a prediction, and Trump's trying to make it happen for us. Prediction markets are interesting phenomena. Public sentiment moves culture. Absolutely, Deborah. I think the prediction markets are one of the most interesting human experiments. This is an absolute masterclass in trying to understand what makes human beings tick. Look at this Bitcoin 5-minute up or down. This is a market that has $31 million in volume. They are betting on whether Bitcoin is going to go up or down in the next 5 minutes, and they've done $32 million in volume. Look at these numbers ticking over here on the side. These are bets. This is just bets. Bing, 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 bing. Over and over and over again. Look, there we go. Ethereum up or down 5 minutes. Solana up or down 5 minutes. XRP up or down 5 minutes. It is the craziest thing. And then you've got people leaving their comments like it's a social media. And it's take it. It's absolutely crazy. It is just absolutely crazy to think about. And I have a feeling as we get more and more experience with prediction markets, we are going to learn a lot about groupthink and human nature, because this is so new. Prediction markets have been around for a couple of years now. You really probably started hearing about them for the first time running up to the 2024 election. They had started to get big during the 2022 midterms. There had been a lot of dollars. Kalshi was doing a lot of advertising, but these really are a new phenomenon when it comes down to it. Utilizing this blockchain technology to do this we don't have much experience. What we have found very quickly is that prediction markets appear to be far more accurate on a minute-to-minute basis than any expert analyst. But ultimately, sometimes they are wrong. Yeah, Reno Hightower. So what's the word on tariff dividends for the citizens of our once great nation asking for a friend? Hey, Reno, I'm asking for myself, but I have a feeling that's what you're asking for as well, Reno. I agree. I know that we did get some news in regards to a court ruling that struck down some of Trump's tariffs, and so I know that's back in the news at this point. But I'm ready. Oh, yeah, Frank. We do have a Tommy hanging out back here. Tommy's being lazy today. But Tommy got the spot. Right. Rich Roper, late arrival, still watching Pops today. Welcome, Rich. And yeah, with the whole schedule changes and everything on the shows, at some point I'm gonna have to look at it and chat with Pops and think on that one. Because yeah, I know from now on, I think he's pretty well settled into the nearly 2 hour long podcast routine. Franco, for investors, only for those holding cryptocurrency and crypto. It's a double win. Hey, absolutely. Didn't release the time frames. Epicenter LLC. Wow, didn't realize the time frames were that tight, like day trading. It goes all over the place. And so you can you've got prediction markets that could be years out from paying out. You've got prediction markets that are, immediate ups and downs in a matter of minutes. Here's U.S. strikes Iran by. All right. It's taking a second to load, but let's see what the world believes. When are we going to be striking Iran? Whoa, $326 million in volume in this market on U.S. strikes Iran by February 20th, polling at 1%. That the U.S. strikes Iran by February 20th. I can see why that one is at 1%, considering we don't have that much more time left in the day, but that would pay one heck of a return if you manage to win, because that is a buy, yes, position for 1.5 cents. That is a buy no position at 98.6. So you end up being right on that one. You're going to make a pretty penny. 4% by the 21st, so tomorrow, 7%. And so when do we hit 51? March 15th. According to prediction markets, it is essentially, they believe that March 15th, 51% of prediction market participants believe that the U.S. will have struck Iran by March 15th. That percent chance goes up to 76% by December 31st. 69% by June 30th. Hey, interesting indeed. And of course, hey, people here, wow. Guy from Canada has quite some opinions about Israel, and this thing is just it's a social media. And wow, and poly market participants are not big supporters of Israel. Sorry, getting distracted, but poly market is something in those prediction markets that can be a lot of fun to check out every once in a while, just to see where the world's leaning. Franco, you'll never win against a bot. This is very true, and in the cryptocurrency space, as is the same in the stock market, as is the same in commodities markets, there are bots operating across every financial market. Should they be, Frank? I don't think so. But it's always been argued that they provide liquidity, that they help to make for a stronger market, yada, 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 yada. More accurate price exploration, yeah. It's a bunch of BS, but ultimately, many economists and financiers who benefit massively from these financial instruments, they'd argue that I'm wrong. Kukla, Zester, do a podcast with your dad on Wednesday mornings would be great. Things like that is kind of what we had been discussing, was the possibility of maybe just starting to do one of the shows a week as a crypto segment over on it. But we're still going back and forth on that one. With the whole flux and change to the schedule, we weren't trying to add anything extra to it until that kind of got settled in. Good morning, Judy. Good morning. Rich Roper, wonder what the cost per day of having all our War Department next to Iran. Rich, hey, our Pentagon can't figure out what a toilet seat costs, or for some reason they think it costs $20,000. So I don't know. What was it also? We managed to we had the largest peacetime downsizing of the federal government in American history occurred in 2025. And yet that did not even cut the slightest amount off of our burgeoning debt volumes. And government will always find a way to mess up. Bureaucrats will always find a way to waste our money, I think. All right, though. Let's get to more and more of our articles today. And of course, let's talk about Pocahontas, because Pocahontas, well, she's pissing me off and a lot of other folks. Senator Warren tells the Fed and Treasury no bailout for crypto billionaires. Senator Elizabeth Warren urged the Treasury Department and Federal Reserve not to use tax dollars to bail out cryptocurrency billionaires and other highly leveraged cryptocurrency investors. The Massachusetts Democrat wrote to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Fed Chair Jerome Powell as Bitcoin continued to slide that has seen the popular crypto lose about half its value since its all-time high in October. Of course, her letter came on the same day as World Liberty Financial hosted its forum, aka this last Wednesday. And so, in a letter to Bessent, would be deeply unpopular to transfer wealth from American taxpayers to cryptocurrency billionaires. It could also directly enrich President Trump and his family's cryptocurrency company. This came out of left field. There's nobody out there who is pushing for any form of bailout for the cryptocurrency industry. There's no one in the crypto space calling for that. There's no one outside of the crypto space calling for that. But what she means by a crypto bailout is the United States investing in a digital asset strategic reserve. And so she's essentially arguing that if the United States invests in cryptocurrency, if we start to hold as a matter of our national reserves, if we are to hold cryptocurrencies, that all we're really doing is giving Donald Trump a bunch of money. And so we should not buy cryptocurrencies with American taxpayers' dollars, or ask the federal government, or ask any state government, because it benefits Donald Trump. And she's decided to frame that as a bailout, which I suppose is intelligent branding. That does make people immediately think back to 2007 and 2008. And that just kind of immediately makes you think, oh, bailout, big banks, don't like them, don't like bailouts. She knows what she's doing here. But ultimately, this was really, really, really stupid. I'm hoping to get a comment from a Donald Trump on this one. You know how much he loves beating up on Pocahontas. I really want one on this, because this one looks really, really dumb when you actually read what she said. Because by that same exact logic, essentially the US government should pull their funding from everything. Because by that exact same logic, is the United States bailing out industries by buying products from them? So, like, if we contract with Ford and Ford is going to start making tank bodies, is the United States bailing out the auto industry because we're buying tank bodies from Ford? Her logic is deeply, deeply flawed on this one. And so I really hope that somebody over there in the Trump house notices that and decides to make a comment about it. Henry Avery, why do crypto billionaires need a bailout? They don't. That's what was so crazy about the comment. And of course, it gained massive traction on the progressive side. And now they've got little videos and shorts running around saying that Trump plans on bailing out crypto billionaires, which isn't true. And doesn't even have, like, I can't even find an article to point to where maybe they could have found, some nugget of truth that they could have made into this. There's nothing. But yeah, so the bankers need a crypto bailout. That's pretty much that's pretty much what it sounded like. It sounded a lot like what she was saying is, we need to hold on to our bailout because we're not giving it to crypto because we're going to need to bail out some other folks. I don't know. I don't know. Musical A, no worries. Pocahontas will flip flop to the other side once the Democrats deem it an important advantage point for them to grab. The Democrats at this point in time don't have a platform. They don't have one, I don't think, because they can't seem to agree on anything besides the fact that they're all nuts. I forgot. I saw your comment and I missed it there, Kukla. The very, very excited for the 2 new members of the family. I am very excited to get to, it looks like now at this point that we'll get to see them in March. And so I'm very, very excited for that. Very excited. All right. Oh, I'm trying to catch back up. All right. Yeah, Henry Avery. The United States will bail out anyone except for us. Yeah, anyone except for the electorate. The folks that put them into office are the only ones that don't get a bailout. Robbie Buck, idiots like Warren, gripe about crypto, but secretly own Bitcoin and World Liberty Financial. She is a fraud. Absolutely, Robbie. I love that one. Here's another one we got today from the forum. This one was great because Goldman Sachs CEO has always been very, very publicly anti-crypto. Even when Goldman Sachs was offering cryptocurrency and digital asset services, essentially he would come out and say, yeah, we think you're stupid. Fiat's always going to be the way. You're always going to have normal banks, but we'll offer these services because we'll take your money. He comes out during the event and turns out he's owned Bitcoin the entire time. And so while he was out there on the news channels telling everybody else that they should not buy Bitcoin, hey, I'm the CEO of Goldman Sachs. Bitcoin's a scam. He's buying it the entire time while he's out there publicly telling you not to. Because, yeah, I suppose he's capable of accepting the risk and the volatility of the cryptocurrency markets. Absolutely hilarious. We had quite a few of those at the event where we had some folks come out and essentially announce that they had been holding cryptocurrency. And if you were to go back through their public statements in the past, you would go, well, wait a second. Were you holding cryptocurrency back in 2020 when you told everybody it was a scam? Oh, maybe. Maybe. They were just making certain they got a better price. They were just making certain. All right, let's see. We've got more and more articles. I'm certain that I'll have missed some today. I'll have been all over the place. All over the place. All right. Yes. Also, coming from the World Liberty Financial, or at least starting after it, we have got House Democrats press Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on World Liberty Bank charter and a fairly large investment from the United Arab Emirates in World Liberty Financial. This one is directly in line with Elizabeth Warren. Essentially, they asked Bessent to explain what safeguard exists to prevent foreign government officials or politically connected investors from using the charter process to gain leverage over the U.S. financial system. Trump derangement syndrome at its finest, although there is one important thing here that is true. Lawmakers pointed to a report that a senior royal from the UAE quietly acquired almost half of World Liberty Financial for about $500 million, including a reported $187 million flowing to Trump-affiliated entities, while the company pursued a national bank charter with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. I do think that there is something that is important here. We do need to start taking very seriously the idea of foreign investment, national security in regards to a lot of blockchain technologies. I believe that we need to view it in the same way that we would view semiconductors processing chips, RAM, rare earth minerals, necessities for national security. We regularly protect industries, and other nations do it far more than us. And so in no way are we as the United States unique. We protect industries from foreign meddling that are viewed as a matter of national security. I strongly believe that cryptocurrency and blockchain technology needs to fit into that category. It will fit into that category going into the future, I'm certain. But the sooner it does, I think the better. And so, very much, this is a case of Trump derangement syndrome, but it brings up an important question. What are we going to do, and how do we view foreign investment in domestic blockchain companies? Is that something where we're only going to allow partnered allied nations to essentially invest in? That's something we do already. There's historical precedent. You know, we allow nations like Japan to come in and invest in critical U.S. infrastructure and run it. We get a whole lot more worried about that when it's China. But if Japan's going to do it, we're like, okay, you know, that's cool. Same thing with many European nations. Are we going to start viewing investment in blockchain companies in that same light or not? It's going to be another very important question to answer going into the future. And I think this brings it up. I'm at this point in time, it's difficult to really get behind or really see through all the crap on any of these TDS style outbursts from the Democrats. It makes it very difficult, but ultimately they are bringing up a good question in what is going to be the procedure, what is going to be allowed. I strongly believe that we should massively limit foreign investment in domestic blockchain companies, especially in ones that are going to be tied to certain sectors, data, and etc. We need to make certain that we are limiting. We don't want the CCP buying up half of a crypto company that runs the blockchain that, say, accounts for, you know, a massive portion of the tokenized gold or tokenized real estate in the United States. There are so many things here that are important when it comes down to it, where we do need to protect ourselves, and we need to both achieve and protect a lead in the industry. And so, where's this one going to go? What are y'all's thoughts on that one? Am I overly cautious in saying I really don't think anybody? I'm worried even about allies, because allies sometime in the future may no longer be allies. Where are y'all at on that one? Are y'all, what do you think? Is it going to be comfortable knowing that, you know, say Japan owns half of a fairly critical blockchain that contains a lot of important information? Or is it going to be okay if China does, or Iran does, or the UAE? Now, the UAE is quite the partner to the United States right now. Are they still going to be in the future? Where are y'all's thoughts? I have a feeling this one's going to be a little bit split. Epicenter, Deborah, Supreme Court ruled against President Trump's tariffs 6-3. Do you think that this will affect cryptocurrency markets? Deborah, I do think that tariffs will affect the cryptocurrency markets in a very, very short term. Crypto markets don't like tariffs for some reason. I've yet to figure out. There is no logic. There is no logic behind the fact that for some reason, a very large portion of cryptocurrency, not a large portion of cryptocurrency investors, a large portion of traditional financial investors who are diversified into cryptocurrency view tariffs as being more dangerous to crypto than they do to their traditional financial rails, which I don't understand in the slightest. I think it's market manipulation, but I do believe that it will affect in the short term. Deborah, in this situation, it may honestly be viewed as a positive in the short term for the cryptocurrency markets because of those very people. Someday, someday I'll figure out what the logic is on that one. I've listened to a few different breakdowns on what they think the logic is behind some of these financial institutions on the tariffs. They believe that they're rebalancing essentially across sectors, and that that's what's occurring, is that they have very, very liquid capital sitting in cryptocurrency. And so when these tariff announcements come out, they essentially utilize the crypto liquidity in order to rebalance the fact that they're about to see a loss across the spreadsheets in other sectors, in the stock market, maybe on currencies, etc. I've seen that argument made. I suppose that makes sense. But it's such clockwork. It's such clockwork. It happens so quickly. It just, I don't know. Seems like a correlation that does not necessarily, indicate causation. It occurs every time, but some people are saying that it causes it. And I don't know. It doesn't make sense that it would cause it. Crazy Chester, since Mark really has RV news on Monday mornings, think he'll cancel those also. Crazy Chester, I don't think so. Don't think so. I can give a little bit of some behind the scenes on that one. I am 99% positive that Monday through Friday mornings are not going anywhere. 99% positive at the moment. Mobile, doesn't the Clarity Act include those protections? Mobile, that's just where we're now. The Clarity Act is currently having revisions. Compromises are being made. We're about to hopefully see what those compromises and etc. are. According to Trump, before March 1st, we're going to hear what those compromises all end up being settled on. That's his red line. But Mobile, it doesn't. It provides overall regulatory framework. It makes for reporting standards, things of that nature. What it does not do is place it within the same types of classification as protected industries. It creates a framework for it as a public marketplace. It essentially has given all of the rules to all of us, to the companies, and to the consumers, but it doesn't necessarily go through and say, hey, this industry is this important. How are we going to determine which part of this is Doge? Like, okay, say we have a meme coin that's operating in the United States. Do we care if the meme coin has massive investment from the UAE or China? Are we going to break that down? Are we going to say, well, VeChain is a blockchain that essentially collects the data for the entire distribution system, global and international trade? Do we say, well, hey, a blockchain that is capable, and that's what it does, it's literally tracking millions and billions of packages across the entire world, showing entire distribution and logistics channels. Would we view that as being different? Then Zester decided to make, Zester Rules token. Is the Saudi royal family allowed to invest, $1 billion in Zester Rules meme token? How does that work? And that's what it doesn't have in it, Mobile. It doesn't lay out all of that because I guess that's essentially viewed as being a future step in the process. Yeah, absolutely. Trish, very uncomfortable with the thought of countries owning blockchains. It is, and we got to think about it. Trump essentially announced that he wants the United States to be the ones that are owning and operating these blockchains. I mean, that's very much what Trump said. Is this going to be a very similar situation to the petrodollar and the prior financial system, where the United States is going to essentially say, hey, here are the new rules. We're only going to play by all these rules, though, if we're in charge. We get to say, hey, you're not allowed to invest in our blockchain companies, but then we're going to get real mad if other countries say that American investors aren't allowed to invest in their blockchains. All right. Rich Roper, crypto that gets used up like XRP. How thoughts go with use? Well, Rich Roper, crypto that gets used up. I think I'm going to make an assumption on the question on that one, Rich, because there are cryptocurrencies that are essentially in the long term, they will be perpetually deflationary. Because there will constantly be less and less and less in circulating supply. That is the future of many blockchains. The future of many blockchains is exactly that. And some of them, it is built in systemically to how the blockchain works. In others, it just occurs naturally, which is somewhat, I think people don't ever really even consider the fact that occurs, but it does in cryptocurrency. An example of that is there are hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins that exist, but access to them does not exist. So think about the guy who keeps talking about that hard drive. You've seen it in the news. He's in England, and he had a buttload of Bitcoin on a hard drive. He threw the hard drive away. Now the Bitcoin on that hard drive is worth like $300-400 million. And he wants to dig up the entire landfill to get that hard drive back. What is very rarely thought about in this situation, because everybody's just focused on dude and being like, haha, that's, either you feel bad for him or you laugh at him. One of the two. Apparently the guy is very well off. And so he doesn't need the money. That would even change the context even more if this was, something else. But needless to say, what happened there? People always think about, well, here's a lesson in what not to do. Store your crypto properly. Don't go throwing away things like that. Of course, that's a lesson to take away, but think about it. What actually happened there to the macro market of Bitcoin? Those $400 million worth of Bitcoin have been removed from supply permanently. They are never coming back. They're gone. And so what does that mean? That means that essentially cryptocurrencies are, to a certain degree, self-deflationary as long as people continue to lose access to their crypto. And so this is just one situation where a cryptocurrency could end up leaving circulation without it actually being built systemically into the blockchain. But, Rich, what I think you're more referring to are the systemic ways in which it is removed. And so, like XRP has some systemic means in which XRP is burnt and permanently removed from supply. That's why when you go over and you look on XRP on, say, a tracker like CoinGecko, you'll notice something odd here. Max supply of XRP is 100 billion, but total supply is only 99.9 billion. Why? Because the difference between these two numbers has been permanently burnt. And so there is never a possibility of XRP achieving a max supply of 100 billion. There can never be 100 billion XRP circulating. The goal is that there will forever be less and less and less and less, and that this number will get lower and lower and lower. It is also important, though, to note in this situation, in this example, that right now there is only 61 billion XRP in circulating supply, and that is because every single month XRP is released from escrow or is released from the corporate treasury into the open market to provide funding for Ripple Labs. And so the number one inflation that occurs in XRP is caused by Ripple Labs themselves. It's about 1 billion tokens, I think, every month that can potentially be released. Mobile definitely need the America First ideology in regards to blockchain companies. That's where I'm at. It's It is a matter of national security. I don't like the idea of essentially being that isolationist when it comes to foreign investment. But I think that if we're going to allow it, it needs to come with serious, serious caveats when it comes to blockchain technology. Just because we don't ever want to be having this conversation 30 years in the future when a Jeffrey Epstein-esque person did manage to achieve that form of control over a blockchain. We don't want to ever be having that conversation. And so there needs to be very, very, very strict regulation around the investors. And I think it's a great time for the United States to consider that across other sectors at the same time. We need to take that more seriously. Tether, the largest stablecoin provider on the planet. Remember, we talk about it all the time. Co-founded by Brock Pierce, Epstein's buddy, who used to send photos back and forth with him. He's the co-founder of Tether. Tether keeps hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. Treasury bonds outside of the United States, and it's got ties to Chinese banks. Every part of that is a matter of national security to me, because it is a U.S. dollar denominated, U.S. Treasury backed stablecoin that is being operated by foreign entities. That's not cool. That is not cool. Musical lady, you bring up good points. I'm also concerned about foreign investment partners coming into the United States. We definitely don't want the CCP making U.S. domestic policy decisions right inside of our background. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Reno, on cryptocurrency side, I think that it is. It's been a massive, massive, massive amount of delays and can kicking in cryptocurrency because of the entrenched in power, those who have the most to lose. I believe that it's the exact same conversation in currency. Ultimately, why is it taking so long? Because the people that stand to lose are the people who have the power now. They had the power in the past. They've had the power for a long time, and they're the ones that stand the most to lose. And so they're going to fight tooth and nail the entire way down. In the cryptocurrency space, I think that is what we have seen. We have seen the banking sector fight tooth and nail. We have seen governments fight tooth and nail. We have seen every entrenched industry fight cryptocurrency. Why did they fight? Because they had the most to lose. And the longer they could delay it, the longer they could maintain their power, the longer they could prepare themselves for the future, the better chance they had of maintaining that dominance. And so I strongly believe that it's the very similar logic. It's a very, very similar situation. Essentially, when you're going after the most powerful people in the world, the most valuable, wealthiest in the world, they've got a lot of resources to fight. And so even though it's a losing battle, it doesn't mean that they're not capable of fighting that losing battle for a very long time. A very long time. I think that's very much the case. I think we see a very similar thing in the currency side and the cryptocurrency side. We are watching the powers that be. It is David and Goliath. And Goliath is going to make certain that it goes for as many rounds as possible. But this is old school boxing. This is like back in the real boxing days, where a fight went until somebody quit. And that's the type of deal we're in, and that's the David and Goliath battle. And so eventually, David's going to win. This is something that can't be stopped. Ultimately, this is an innovation and an evolution that is going to occur to the financial system. It's going to happen. They can't put the genie back in the box. You can't reclose Pandora's box. Right, wrong, indifferent, good, evil, bad, whatever you think it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. But that doesn't mean they can't make certain that it doesn't happen tomorrow. And so that's where I've always been at. On the currency side, that's always been where I'm at. They're going to fight until they're out. So they're out of money. They're out of cards to play. And I think that the same thing is occurring in crypto. The powers that be are going to fight until they're out of cards to play. And by that time, they will have managed to set themselves up in as good of a position as they can. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today, Crazy Chester. And well, guys, it has been a long one. I've still got a million other things. Chicago CME Group to launch 24/7 crypto trading starting in May. That was a $3 trillion market last year at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Coinbase is bringing wrapped XRP into on-chain lending. This is a huge one, a huge asset and tool for us XRP holders. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that. Analysts talking about, yeah, that one's probably just a pop-up. AI agents, we've got so much more. Ripple CEO predicts 90% chance U.S. crypto bill passes by April. Eric Trump shrugs off Bitcoin's recent slump. If you don't have the backbone, go invest in some boring bond. That's Eric Trump to all of the folks complaining about the price of Bitcoin right now. We've got so much more, but it's already been an hour and 11 minutes. And so we'll hold some of our articles for come Monday. Who knows what else we'll have by then, but I would say I'm very excited now for that March 1st deadline. I'm cautiously optimistic on the stablecoin interest debate. It sounds like the banking lobby has agreed that, yes, there will be stablecoin yields, but now they're just trying to figure out how they're going to chop up that pizza pie. So we will all find out together. I'll be back at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. There will be, at some point, probably a little time change, but I'm just not certain yet. So for right now, we're going to stick to the times. And so love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. We'll chat soon.